All right, guys, I want to share with you how you can prevent the biggest fear, the biggest risk to you as an endurance athlete, and that is getting injured, having this major setback that takes you away from the very thing that you love. Whether you love to run, ride, swim, hike, climb, ski, whatever the outdoor activity is that you love to do, we are very lucky to work with all these types of individuals here at Strength for Endurance. But the biggest fear that any of them have, and the thing that we have to help people through, is preventing them from these big setbacks. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people we work with are reacting to these situations. There's been a freak accident, a freak occurrence. Sometimes there's been an accumulation of different variables that have been mismanaged, training errors, etc. But I've led them to a place where they are no longer able to do the things that they love. And not to kind of sound too romantic or holistic about this, but essentially, guys, we work with lifestyle individuals, people who just love to be active day to day, and we have this great pleasure of not having to motivate the people we work with. However, what we do have to do is obviously keep them accountable to key areas of their training. And what I want to talk about today, guys, is pretty much that. What are the key things, what are the key variables, the key areas of your training lifestyle that are non-negotiable, that you have to be on top of as we move through phases of our life, as we have to navigate injuries, setbacks, career changes, lifestyle changes, relationship changes. We have to stay on top of certain things in our life, because if we want to carry on being as active as we want to, if we want to prevent injury, if we want to prevent these physiological setbacks. This conversation came about in a couple of kind of check-ins this week with a couple of clients. One has been with us for a number of years, another one who's just come onto program. Both absolutely love their active lifestyle. Now, one of them, Oliver, I'm going to talk about you. 2 plus years ago, he blew up his knee with a knee meniscal injury. He went through the whole procedure of being told that actually probably he shouldn't run again, given the letter, doing the MRIs, and given the advice that potentially he should never train again. He should never try running again, put that up on a shelf and try and do something else. Now, when we spoke, he was pretty dejected, obviously, and he was of the opinion that he just needed to kind of follow suit, listen. And I shut him down immediately, and I said, no, there's 101 things you could be doing proactively to get on top of this, bringing more stability, more strength, more conditioning, just starting to redevelop those athletic qualities again. Lo and behold, guys, 6 months, building up that conditioning again, building up that confidence, those movement patterns, rebuilding his confidence around his strength conditioning, which he was not doing at that time, building up his education, his understanding, bringing in more progressive strength, more, building up his running volume, building up that tolerance in and around that knee. Guys, I can thankfully say that he has just come off the back of another ultra event. I think he completed 4 ultra running events last year, winning one of them, 50 kilometer one, which he's going to go back and defend in 4 months' time. He just come off the back of his longest ultra, which was 56 miles. He comes second in that. And we're talking this week, and he's there's literally nothing to talk about, in the sense that his body's good. He got beaten by a guy who was just a bit quicker than him, and now he's just going to re-go again. He's just moving into his next training block. Point I'm making here, guys, was actually he was told quite bluntly and terribly, if I'm honest, that he should never run again. Now he's just come off, literally, he's now into his second year of consistent, pain-free, injury-free running. He has absolutely top of the chain now. He's completing 4 ultra distance events last year, just moving from one to the next, evolving his nutritional strategies and evolving his understanding around the sport itself, because he'd never done this before. He's now moving into his second year of competing and actually challenging himself. But this would never happen had he never embraced the power, and not to sound corny, but the power of a strength and conditioning program, of how you can take control of these moments in our life. But that was taken away from him because of an injury. But it was being reinforced by medical logic at that time, the blinkered approach that was kind of given to him at that time, where the appropriate channels he wasn't being moved into. He wasn't then being guided into working with individuals like ourselves who are going to think outside the box. Yes, we've got a damaged area of the body. What can we be doing about it? What can we be doing to rebuild that area, bring more conditioning to that area? Yes, that area will probably be damaged for the rest of his life unless we go in there, which he never did. But we can work with it. But that takes experience, knowledge, etc., etc. That's now happened for him. But when you've been in the presence of someone who is completely shut down, had that very thing taken away from them, there is a responsibility immediate that you want to get that person back. But the work that goes into that, And it's one of those things that you really got to work on, kind of starting to establish what are those things that we can be helping that individual with. Right, well, introducing strength conditioning, introducing a level of accountability in terms of managing his training load around his running, about what his weekly rehab's going to now look like, how we build up that running tolerance. But there's, again, layers and variables to this, understanding his nutrition, his recovery around managing his injury and building that tolerance back. These are all things that we've developed with Oliver over the last 18 months, 2 years, 2.5 years now, and we're still reinforcing them, but now at a different level. We're now thinking more elite performance. But I'm telling you guys, this Oliver is nothing special. In the nicest possible way, he is someone who has come into the sport, very passionate, loves to run, actually loves the lifestyle more than potentially he loves the competition. But what he's done is he has non-negotiably done the work that he needs to do, and he has listened to what he needs to, the people around him, the network he has around him. And we've obviously worked with our physio team, with our strength and conditioning team, with our running team, with our running coach team, working with our blood doctor as well, working with our consultants and other specialists, and his running coaches, so he can make sure that he is building appropriately. The conversation we had this week was about how actually his running events are almost type 2 fun, and I can resonate with this because we had quite a similar conversation around this, where because of this knee injury and because he had this lifestyle taken away from him, he was running relatively regularly before the knee injury happened, that was taken away from him. I can very much sympathize with this because of my 2 significant knee injuries in my career, my life so far. I know exactly what it's like to have literally this ability taken away from you, this lifestyle taken away from you. I was put in a leg cast for two lots of 10 weeks, where I had to watch my leg atrophy and weaken, and then it happened again 2 years later, and I had to rebuild it again. So having that ability to walk, squat, bend over, run, cycle, all those things were taken away from me for 2.5 months. Oliver, very similar. So that mindset where you have this lifestyle taken away from you, it puts you in a place where you appreciate your body so much more. And to the point where we're talking about this type 2 fun, where I raced recently as well, and I enjoyed the event, and I peaked well for it. But actually, we kind of similarly found that we were talking about the fact that these peaks are just almost like type 2 fun. When you look back at them, they were fun, but actually in the moment, you're doing them. But actually what we love more than anything is the process, the journey, the sessions leading up to that, the struggle, the graft that you're putting in, the lifestyle that you're kind of getting up 4, 5, 6 days a week and really thinking about, right, what's my training session coming up? What do I need to be working on? How am I going to be feeling for that? How am I going to be recovering from that? Also, the type of training that you're doing, you're able to look, you're able to be in nature, be out there on your own. They are the similar things that we found. Now, obviously, this is just anecdotal. This is between us, in the sense that some people literally live for the competition, and I get that. But there's 2 sides to this. There always will be. And we find that even though we are helping people towards these performance goals on a daily, weekly basis, most of the people that we're working with are addicted to the lifestyle. They just love to run, ride, swim, hike, climb. They like to go away at the weekends. But to have that fundamental right taken away from you because of poor training, poor programming, lack of accountability around your nutrition, around your blood work, around your injury management, that is what we're talking about today. But these are the key variables we have to get on top of. Rachel came onto the program recently. Middle-aged, works very hard, has a great level of responsibility within her job, but loves to ride. Lives in the city, loves to ride 200, 300, 400 kilometers a week with her cycling club and friends. Likes to get out on bike, and she's out long rides at the weekends, and she just loves it because there's no label to it. Doesn't need to compete, race. Just wants to just live that lifestyle and just loves to be on the bike. She's very competitive with herself, but essentially doesn't need the competition. But it's the lifestyle again. This is a lifestyle that she has found in her later years, as it were, at a different phase of her life. But again, it's the lifestyle. That's where the addiction comes from. And it's a healthy addiction. It's a wonderful addiction where you find something that you truly love to just do on a daily basis, think about, want to work towards. But the conversation we had recently was about sustaining this. The fear of obviously moving into different phases of her life, going through the menopause, hormonally, understanding her nutrition. She has no idea about strength and conditioning, how she can maintain this lifestyle. And this is what we are always thinking about when it comes to the endurance training lifestyle is, yes, it's about performance, but it's about the lifestyle. And myself included, I am addicted to doing the right thing so I can maintain my lifestyle. I love to train pretty much every day in some shape or form, whether it's it's a strength and conditioning session, going out for a mountain bike ride, going out for a run, going swimming with the boys, going for a long hike. Like it's a daily habit that I never want to stop doing. And with everyone that we work with at SFE, everyone that we kind of get in contact with, it's the same narrative. People just want to exist and have an adventure and just have experiences and compete and race at times and peak for certain events. But it's the lifestyle. But how do we maintain this? It cannot just be about the training, because the training will always let us down, because we're doing the thing that we want. The thing that we need to be thinking about, as I've talked about in part here, is understanding how that integrates into our lifestyle. If we do pick up injuries, what are we doing to pivot to make sure that we're rebuilding our bodies back, integrating that appropriate strength and conditioning work? But then we don't need to be injured. What are we doing to prevent injury? Full stop. Are we making sure that we've got quality, good bone density? Are we placing resistance into those key joint structures, into those key muscle groups? This is stuff we can be proactively doing, but it's neglected until it's needed, which is crazy, because we work with intelligent people every single day who are, and everything that we read is saying that we need to be doing A, B, C, D, E to maintain this lifestyle, but we don't, because a lot of us aren't being held accountable to it. And it is our job as a coaching company to keep people accountable, not just to the running, the riding, the swimming, the lifting, etc. That's kind of the easy bit. I'm telling you, the hard bit is having those conversations around how it's integrating in around a busy work lifestyle, the mindset around lifting heavier weights. Why do I need to do that? Well, it's about developing the lean muscle tissue in your body, making sure that you've got good tendon strength, ligament strength. We're developing your bone density. We are proactively working against aging. We're making sure that you've got a good hormonal understanding, a status, and if not, what are we supplementing with? Understanding that you can't just afford to be eroding away your body, not fueling enough, not recovering enough, not periodizing your training well enough, because we're just pushing ourselves, we're accelerating our decline. And that all leads to this place where you find yourself broken, having major setbacks, constant niggles, sick, whatever it is, but it's overtraining. It peaks in these symptoms where we are no longer able to keep doing the things we love. I'm talking to people who are used to be able to run, ride, swim 6 days a week, and now they're down to two kind of moderated runs or walks or rides with a couple of dog walks, because their bodies are shells of what they used to be, because they're not being held accountable to how it all fits in, how they can maintain this active lifestyle. There is nothing wrong with training 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week. What does it look like? How do we manage it? How do we manage that, all that kind of training load and stress around making sure we're fueling enough, recovering enough? There's a complexity to it that people don't really want to assume, but guys, it's all doable. It's all doable, but it's understanding how we can maintain these wonderful active lifestyles where we can say yes to anything to a certain degree. But it's how we go about it, the preparation, the accountability, the programming, the planning. This all has to be there, guys. And if not, we're only going to suffer the consequences. And how can I say that? Well, it's because it's evident everywhere you look. You're seeing a natural decline. You're seeing people who used to thrive who are now surviving in every conversation that we're having. And so the things that we install at SFE are constantly just keeping people reminding of, it's not just about the training hard. It's not just about doing the volume and the intensity. It's about making sure that you have your appropriate nutrition, appropriate energy availability, quality recovery, great periodization, non-negotiable strength and conditioning, a great relationship with all of it all together. That is what we do at Strength for Endurance. And this is what we love to do on a daily basis. But we do this as a team. We do this with you. And this is certainly what we would love to do. We'd love to kind of sit down and speak with you guys about. So, guys, if there's any of this resonate with you, please get in contact, because this is a relatively complex conversation at times, but something that all it takes is a conversation. But it's certainly the way where you can maintain the active lifestyle that you want to live, and it's certainly the way you can perform at your best long term as well. All right, guys, speak to you soon.